Every time you get a chance to witness this scene, you feel lucky. Nothing like it.
Man, this is what it's all about. This is what college football is all about. I've said this is the best scene in the country.
I love and appreciate you guys. Understand this. We didn't get here without every single person in this room. We got here together. Let's finish this thing together. Everybody got me? Let's go do this thing.
Welcome back to Whiteout Weekly on a glorious Big Ten opening victory week. Could not be any sweeter. Thanks to a phenomenal defensive effort, the Nittany Lions pulled out a 16-10 win over the then number 12 Badgers. If you watched the game, it was a defensive slugfest. Tough to watch at times, but it ended in an electric finish. And I also love seeing jump around and like the full Camp Randall Stadium back again. But Dave, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on all the crazy plays down the end of the stretch. Just give me all your thoughts.
That was electric, baby. Nothing like those Gus Johnson calls, especially when he's, calling out Penn State. I think like you said, we were talking before, and I was on the edge of my seat, especially with that Brisker pick. Took longer than I expected to get going, but when it got going, it was fun to watch. Watching, I think Dotson could have had 300 yards, on Saturday, but we'll take the 102 or the 100+ yards. And excited, man, excited for this week. Big momentum switch heading into this year.
Yeah, that was actually the first scoreless Big Ten game at half since November 8th, 2013, Michigan at Northwestern.
Really? Feels like you get that every week in the Big Ten.
Been a long, yeah. Feels like you do, but first time in a long time.
Like all the memes across Twitter was, this is Big Ten football, 0-0.
I think the big thing that I noticed right away was I think it was our opening drive when we came out. It might have been a screen pass, it might have been a draw, but it was that immediate up tempo offense, and I think someone got a false start, and they just kind of crumbled from there throughout the first half.
Yeah, big Rasheed Walker. Yeah, on that first.
Yeah, I think it was him. So that kind of killed the momentum in the first half. Clifford never really got in a rhythm with completions, which is key in that air raid offense, is getting consistent completions, moving the chains, getting the tempo going, and then setting up that bomb. But the good thing with Clifford, no fumbles, no interceptions. He had some close calls. But on the bad side, he had some really easy missed throws on like just easy out routes that he should be hitting as a college D1 quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was obvious, to see that he's still struggling, kind of like he was last year. I'm going to give him a little bit more credit than I typically would. Brand new offense in that type of environment, playing with a lot of guys on that roster that haven't played Big Ten football, especially in that type of hostile environment. Got a lot of guys who played last year with no fans. So to be able to take that brand new offense, into Madison, into Camp Randall, and squeak out a win that this team doesn't usually get, especially over the last 3 or 4 years, I think that's something to be said. Granted, heading into this week, you're going to have to see a lot more, and can't be peeking ahead to that whiteout game against Auburn. So it's got a lot of work still to do, but I'm going to give him a lot of credit, for his composure, especially in that second half with some key plays, with some timely throws, missed a lot, like you said, missed a lot of those short, easy ones, missed his deep balls. But the key thing, no turnovers. So
yeah,
that was huge.
That's big. He had some close calls with some questionable throws, but other than that, he was 18 of 33. So give him around 55% completion percentage. And he started completing balls once we started going to the outside and not attacking the middle where their linebacker, I forget his name, Zach Sanborn.
Yeah, he was all over the place,
havoc all over the field. Like that guy was literally my nightmare that afternoon. He was everywhere. It was like every play was Sanborn. So once we kind of like went away from throwing over the middle where he always was, kind of did those little easy out routes, those swing passes, those screens. It kind of opened everything else up besides the running game.
Yeah, I think those bubble screens got him into a little bit better of a groove. Like you said, over the middle, tight ends didn't have any catches yesterday, or on Saturday rather. So they were pretty absent.
Surprising.
The absence of the running game. They put all their eggs in that passing game basket. To really see what he was made of. 33 attempts. Granted, Wisconsin's offense was on the field the whole game, so the way that game was going, Clifford probably would have had about 50, 55 attempts. If they had the ball a bit more.
Yeah, just to go over the stats, our leading rusher was Noah Kane with 48 yards, 8 attempts. As a team, we had 18 rushes for 50 yards. So not too great.
Kane was the only one with positive yards. Lee, I think he had -4 yards, and Devin Ford, 1 carry, 1 yard. So not a lot to show for in that first game.
So another thing we talked about last week was we were both pissing our pants about their all senior offensive line against our sort of inexperienced, not really hasn't played together group of defensive line. And I was personally shocked. I was surprised at how well all the defensive linemen played, from Lucetta to AK to Mustafa, who quietly had a dominant game on the inside, not on the pass rush side, but
seven tackles, I think.
What'd you say?
I think Mustafa had 7 tackles. That was a big game for him.
Yeah, he had, according to Pro Football Focus, he had 10 solos, no missed tackles, and 6 stops, which are plays that result in a negative result for the offense.
Yeah, he bulked up to 325 this offseason, and that really showed, to be the difference. They thought it would be. And
nothing on the pass rush front, but I feel like he was really creating those one-on-one opportunities for AK, Tarburton, and Lucetta.
Yeah, Wisconsin's O-line, they were throwing a lot of combo blocks in there to kind of shut down him. Tangelo, Devon Ellis was in there for a little bit, but I think really saw Ebikete. Didn't think he would burst onto the scene that quickly.
He was flying.
And then like you said, Lucetta, in his new role at that DN spot. Tarburton, found himself in some timely spots with that fumble recovery.
Yep.
But they showed a lot, that bend but don't break mindset, held the whole game, and that was huge.
Mm-hmm. And the like we said last episode, the secondary was the strength of our defense, and it definitely showed towards the end of the game, especially that they were the leaders and the best unit, I think, on the field
for sure.
That game.
Yeah, so they're starting to build their case. Starting to build their case for best unit in the country. I think they're well on their way.
For sure. I mean, I wasn't gonna say it too early, but I was like, Brisker could be in the mix for some high awards towards the end of the season.
Absolutely.
For defensive backs. So from there, those positives. Let's move on to a segment we're going to call One Name All Game. Basically the MVP of the game. Dave, if you want to kind of expand on the One Name All Game title.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm going to go with Dotson. 5 catches, 102 yards. I think he had two or three catches for 40 plus. He was finding ways to get separation all game. And like we said before, I think Clifford probably could have hit him 3 or 4 more times.
Yes, on a couple of those. He was getting separation on so many downfield throws.
Yeah, I think even a couple of those that he did connect on, if he let him a bit more, he could have took it to the house. But, Dotson showing, it was cool on national TV to see, Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, kind of recognizing, him. But he's bursting onto the scene if he hasn't already for that national attention. He's big time.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go with my One Name All Game is kind of a chalk pick, but I had him as my impact player going into the season last episode. So I'm going to go with Jaquan Brisker. His stats, he was playing through, I think it was a calf injury, maybe some cramps, which we know can be debilitating to even a superhuman athlete like LeBron James. So
yeah,
playing through some stuff, but he was the highest graded, according to PFF, he had an 88.7 coverage grade which was ranked 9th in the nation, in the entire country. In 60 total snaps, he had 5 solo tackles, 1 assist, 2 stops, which again, negative play for the offense, He was targeted 2 times. One of them ended up in a pass breakup. The other ended up in an interception.
Mhm.
He also had 0 penalties, which is, I think, huge.
Yeah.
So he is definitely my one name all game honor of the week.
Yeah, he was big time.
Moving on from that, we're gonna go complete opposite. We're not calling it LVP. We're gonna call it the needs to be most improved segment. So either units, players that didn't quite perform last week, but needs to show some improvement heading into next week. Dave, who do you got?
I'm going to give you a couple here. I think Clifford for sure. He previously gave him that high praise, which I think he rightfully deserves. But he's going to have to show, 4 strong quarters next week, especially with this new offense. It's not just him, it's Yurcich and, putting them in good spots right out the gate. But I think Clifford needs to show really 4 strong quarters of, again, mistake-free football, to continue to build that momentum, heading into that daunting task, in that whiteout game against Auburn. I think special teams is another one. I saw Jordan Stout, special teams player of the week, mainly for his punting. 7 punts. I think he averaged about 54 yards a punt. He's got a boot. But that timely missed field goal, I think it was a 28 or 30 yarder, which felt like that was going to come back and bite us in the ass. Like
and
that
the missed extra point.
And the missed extra point. Yeah. So, with that, it felt like that Indiana game all over again. But luckily they pulled it through. But, I think for Stout, it was interesting to see that Pinniger wasn't out there. From what it sounded like Franklin said that they've been charting all kicker statistics, and they went with that choice based on those numbers. But if Stout's going to be the guy, he's got to make those kicks.
Okay. So for me, I'm going to go with what we've kind of mentioned with Clifford just needing to be able to complete passes for this offense to kind of tick and go is our O-line. In the first half, I thought we got completely pushed around. In total, we had 14. They let up 14 QB pressures, 10 QB hurries, 2 QB hits, and 2 sacks, which were by Caden Wallace and Rasheed Walker, given up by them. They did progress as the game went on, which I was very pleased to see. But for this air raid offense to work, they need to give him protection in order to get those completions and get that tempo moving.
Yeah, I think Anthony Wiggin got the start at left guard, and he looked, like he was a brand new starter. He got blown up a few times.
Especially in the first quarter.
Yeah, I think they got Eric Wilson in there towards the end of the game or in the second half, transferred from Harvard. So I'd look for him to get a few more reps this week, to kind of see if he is the guy. But, Wiggin for sure looked a little shell-shocked out there.
Yeah, and Scruggs did a little bit too. He had his struggles on the right side. So moving on from there, let's go to our turning point of the game. I'll go first with mine, just because it's a little long-winded, if you will. But mine was the first possession we had in the second half, when it went. First play was a swing pass to Washington for a couple yards. Next play, bubble screen to Washington. Next play was a 10-yard out or 12-yard out to Lambert Smith. Next play was that Dotson bomb. Yeah. That's what this offense is potentially capable of, given the play calling, the protection, everything we've been talking about. So for me, that was when it really clicked in my head that, like, holy shit, this is what Penn State's potentially capable of. And at that point, it was 0-0 in the game. Boom. 4 or 5 plays later, 7-0 Penn State. So that's when it clicked on my mind that the Yurcich philosophy just needs a little bit of time to get everyone molded together. Clifford, especially, getting his complete percentage up. But it's drives like that where he just has to get those easy completions. Get those yards, positive yardage, up the tempo, take your deep shots.
Yeah, I think Clifford's one of those guys that to get it in a rhythm, you got to give him, easy plays, easy completions, and then you can start to get a little more complex, and he'll feel comfortable letting it fly.
How about you? What was your turning point of the game?
So I think the obvious one, and the one that I probably watched the replay of 25 times from now or by now, is the Brisker pick.
Yeah.
That's one of those plays again, was feeling, like the season opener last year all over again, for him to, kind of be in that QB spiral in that play, step in front of Ferguson and get that pick and see him running down the sideline. That was huge.
Such a heady play. Such a heady play.
I think my runner-up too could be that Ebikete blocked field goal. When it looked like Wisconsin was going to get on the board first.
Yeah,
and then again, that started to show that this defense had that bend but don't break mentality. Where they were driving down the field and to get that stop there, that was huge. That reminded me of that Marcus Allen block against Ohio State, although not as big of a game. I guess it was a big game, but not in that sense. But it kind of showed some similar attributes where this defense is for real.
Yeah, thank God both teams had their special teams flaws. Otherwise, that could have been a totally different game.
What did you think about those two kick catch interference penalties? From what I was seeing, it looked like he timed that perfect. I think it was AJ Litton when they called the two.
I know
he busted up the returner as soon as he caught it.
It's always so like real time. It always looks like he gets there right away. But then when you put it into 0.25 times motion, you know what I mean? You can make anything look like he got there early.
Yeah, those were some tough plays.
So, those kind of bother me. And
the targeting call, on Ellis Brooks. And that's going to be big for this week too. Brooks is out that first half, so you could see Luqueta have to kind of morph back into the linebacker role. So it's again going to test the depth. But yeah, some tough calls there. But overall, mistake-free football, which is great.
Yeah, so he'll be out the first half of next week, which we got a MAC week on our hands at Beaver Stadium. 3:30 kickoff, which as a student was the greatest time for a kickoff, I think, besides the night games. 3:30 was the best.
And as of today, only 4,000 tickets left unsold. So it should be a packed house.
Wow, that's going to be sick. But that was the best because you could tailgate a little, you could sleep in a little, go out on Friday night.
3:30. Yeah, that's all you could ask for.
So a little behind enemy lines about Ball State. They're currently 1-0. They beat Western Illinois, which you'll never guess their team nickname.
Western Illinois. What are they, the Mud Dogs?
I mean, so they're not even close. They're called the Leathernecks.
Oh,
but their logo is like a bulldog. So very strange. The Western Illinois Leathernecks. They won 31-21, but we're actually tied 7-7 at half. So this line opened at Penn State -20. It's now sitting at -22, -22.5, which is huge spread for Penn State. I never like taking them over 17 at the most, I would say.
They don't fare well with big lines at all.
The over under right now, as of recording this on Tuesday, is 57 and a half, depending on when you're looking. So this is super tough.
Yeah.
I might look at a first half bet for Penn State, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
that might be my move.
Like a first half line.
Yeah, just take them to crush in the first half, and then because I hate those backdoor spreads.
Yeah, I would say probably first half line would be good bet, or maybe even a team total, for Penn State if that offense gets clicking.
True.
I think Ball State, they gave up somewhere in the neighborhood of like 390 passing yards last week. So again, another opportunity where we can let it fly.
I just thought I was going to do this right now.
No, it's all good.
Spur of the moment. So found the first half spread. It is Penn State -13. And with Brooks Ellis out, that could be a problem, but it's Ball State.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be my pick this week. Penn State, first half -13. And then the odds are -115 for that.
Okay. I like that.
Hop on board the train.
I forgot what we were doing.
You can hop aboard the train if you want.
Nah, I might go somewhere elsewhere.
All right. Train is rolling for both of us, actually, in the Big Ten picks.
All right. So after much research, I think I found on one site, Penn State team total over 39.5, which I know after just putting up 16 in Madison, seems like a stretch, but I think this could be a good week for them to get going. I think
large number.
But I think the under could be a play as well for total game, under 58. I think I just read Ball State 6-0 against the under in their last 6 games against the Big Ten. So, you could see a 49 zip Lions win, a 49-7. So I think those would be my 2 plays, but I'll play it by ear.
Covering on both sides there.
Yeah, buddy.
So let's break down Ball State a little bit more just to see who we're going to be looking at next week. Dave, do you want to go over the offense for us?
Yeah, give a dive into the Ball State Cardinals. Probably the most I've ever researched the Ball State Cardinals.
Same, man.
But Drew Plitt, 3-year starter, 6'2", 217. Again, was a quarterback of the defending MAC champions last year. Last week against Western Illinois, threw for 188 yards and a couple of touchdowns. And then the other player to watch is Justin Hall. Speedster on the outside, only 5'8", 186. Had both of those tutties last week, one for 49, one for 48 yards. Dangerous in space. For sure. Yeah, from what we saw last week. So don't look to do much on the ground from what I gathered. It's mainly through the air, which should benefit in our favor, especially with that secondary. But again, it's still only week 2. Going to be some more jitters on our side. First time a lot of those guys are playing in front of 103,000. So something to watch for. But
for sure. They also have a guy. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're good.
Another wide receiver, Johans Taylor. Mm-hmm. So Castro Fields and Joey Porter Jr. are really going to step up there. Yeah. They're going to be up for another big test. And Ball State also returns all their starting offensive linemen. So it's going to be yet another test for that defensive line who showed out against Wisconsin, who I'm confident in now this week.
Yeah, the talent should overmatch. But again, you can't underplay having an O-line that's all returning, that has that consistency, has that gel. But talent should overpower them here. But, we shall see.
Yeah, so defensively, they're returning 9 starters that led up 25.8 points per game last year, but had 10 interceptions. So they have an all-senior secondary, all-senior linebacking group. But most importantly, up front, they have a defensive end, number 0, Chris. I'm going to butcher this. Agyemang. Agyemang. It's the best I can do. So judging from the pressure last week, we're going to need to stop him from single-handedly creating pressure and just ruining the tempo that the air raid needs.
Yeah, for sure.
It is week 2 of the Big Ten Betting Bonanza. And after week 1, I currently have 3 points after my Maryland money line pick. And Dave is at 1 point after kind of splitting his games. So we're in week 2 where anything can happen. I'll give you the gentleman's honor of going first here.
Because I'm losing?
Yes. It's a pity.
All right, well, I'm coming back swinging for the fences this week.
All right.
I'm riding with Michigan again. I got Michigan -6 in the big house against the Washington Huskies. It was supposed to be a big game. Washington went down, surprisingly, in week 1 to Montana, the Montana Grizzlies. But I think the Harbaugh train keeps rolling. I got the Wolverines -6.
All righty. I might continually fade the Wolverines every week. I don't know why. I just can't stand fucking Harbaugh. So last week, this is completely contradictory of what I said last week. I said that Oregon was possibly going to be an upset candidate for Ohio State. Changing my mind completely after watching the Ducks last week. They pulled out a like grind fest against Fresno State on 31-24. Ohio State looked like the real deal in the second half. CJ Stroud kind of hit his stride, looked calm, composed. Oregon's flying cross country, which I know is overblown, but they're going to be flying to Ohio and playing an away game at noon. I think that might have an effect on them. So I got Ohio State minus 14.5.
Ooh.
And mind you, we're recording this on Tuesday. So these are all the lines we're taking on Tuesday.
So I'm gonna go with the opposite take on this. I'm gonna take the Ducks plus 14.5.
All right, opposite sides. First time ever. I
thought Ohio State's D was suspect against Minnesota. I think Fresno State, although the Ducks should have handled them, in a little bit better fashion. I think Fresno State is a formidable opponent. I could see a backdoor cover here. I think this will be a high-scoring game. Stroud's going to let it fly for Ohio State to his two weapons. But I think the Ducks hang in there. I could see them losing by 10, but no more than 2 scores.
Now they said backdoor cover, I'm just like, I'm already shaking in my boots. I might have to change that pick before we end this.
We get it out of the way early this weekend, like you said, with that noon kickoff. So, go Ducks.
All right. Is it me or you?
You are up. Your pick number 3.
All right. My pick number 3 is going to be over 46 in the Iowa State game. In-state rivalry. Brock Purdy running the Iowa State offense who threw up a complete dud in week 1. So I think they have to bounce back against this Iowa team. It's going to be a grinded out physical football game. And I think it's going to end up being high scoring, unlike the previous years.
Yeah, Iowa looked good in week 1, man. Yeah, they took care of Indy. I think that's going to be a really good game in Ames, Iowa. It's going to be a good game.
And I was looking at the under, I'll be honest, because the past 2 years have gone way under, but you just have to go over there.
Yeah. I think it's battle for the Cy-Hawk trophy. It's always a classic.
Oh, count me in. Gets me more jacked up.
All right. Pick number 3. I'm swinging for the fences here. I am going Buffalo Bulls money line. 13.5 point dogs against Nebraska.
Wait. There's fucking motorcycle revving through Philly right here.
That was just you shaking your boots.
Say it again.
Buffalo Bulls, 13.5 point dogs at Nebraska. I'm taking them outright.
Oh.
I think that's the Scott Frost experiment is going down in flames.
Wow.
Although they got the win this past week, I think the Bulls shock them.
That is huge. So for the scoring system, money line picks, you get 3 points. And if you're going to pick a team that is basically a 7.5, 8 point favorite or underdog, then you're going to get 8 points for that pick if it's correct. -1 if it's not correct. But so it's a huge swing for the fence.
Big swing.
Completely change it up in week 2. But we won pretty solid. We got one conflicting pick this week, so we'll definitely be watching that game.
Yeah.
And yeah, that'll be it for week 2 of the Big Ten Betting Bonanza.
Can't wait, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching and tuning in to Whiteout Weekly. We will be back every week with more Penn State news and information. And once again, I cannot thank you enough for spending your time with us. Lucci signing out.
See you guys.